And we have returned, chat. So up next should be Blaster, who I will get the code is a Lucio player. Coaching. And up next should be Lexa. Alright, so let me import, and this is Silver Lucio. I need to get better at Lucio because I want to climb as Lucio. So we'll just look at your Lucio. This is a Silver Lucio. Your Blaster. So important things with Lucio, the obvious one, speed is what makes you different than other support heroes. The ability to welcome is also pretty good, but one big thing to take into account is how are you gonna play Lucio? Because I see a lot of Lucio players that do the wrong playstyle for the wrong thing, which is not that important on Silver, but if you have like a Reinhardt, a McCree, a Mei, and a Roadhog, and you just go off by yourself, you are not doing your job, which is spinning the Reinhardt, the McCree, the Mei, and the Roadhog around, right? So just as I mentioned, and we'll see how it actually works out. I just wanted to include that. I'm speed out of spawn, that's fine. You should wall right front line, yeah, that's okay. Move your team to where they want to go, this is okay. You've been playing okay so far, maybe move some of the high ground. This is doing nothing, I will say that. Like, Boop is not a lot of damage. Like, it literally did 4 damage to the D.Va. So it's not a lot of damage. It is value though, in the sense that it will push people far away from you. D.Va is not gonna kill you, you're Lucio. Lucio is very difficult to kill, so you should exploit the fact that you're very difficult to kill, and there's a few things you can do. Rather than going like this, you can either try to get someone in the enemy background dropped into your team, like, hold on. Look at this D.Va, for example, right? She's just used boosters. She doesn't have boosters. And she's not gonna kill you. Lucio is very difficult to kill, especially at your rank. You can just go around the D.Va and boop her off the high ground into the middle of your team, so your team just has a free D.Va to kill, right? Alternatively, rather than going up this way, you can try to go all the way around, like wall right on this, get behind the enemy and boop them into your team. That's something Lucio is really, really good at. You get your team close, and also you go behind the enemy and boop them into your team. Which, especially with teams that want to play really, really close, is just insanely good. This is not doing anything though, right? We can agree on that. You do 4 damage to D.Va, and she doesn't have boosters anyway, so you're not gonna die to the D.Va. Go on healing to top yourself off. Solid. Boop the D.Va into the wall. Okay, you missed, but that's okay. I'm okay with you playing defensive. You don't need to go aggressive if your team is not going aggressive. And you're staying on healing, which I'm okay with, but you should be shooting. Something you're not doing is shooting. Like, you're just staying behind your team and not doing anything. You're healing. You're playing okay overall. Like, your gameplay itself is okay. But you're shooting very, very little. Like, we are 1 minute in. I'm gonna show you something. Let's go to Lucio. How much damage do you think Lucio's gun does? Because it may not feel like it, but Lucio's damage is actually not too bad. For 2 reasons. First thing first, it has no range drop off. It always does 20 damage per shot. You can see that, right? When I'm missing shots, I'm like, let me get like closer so you can appreciate it better. They only do 20 damage. You can see it on its HP. However, the headshot. So you can do up to 160 damage with a single Lucio shot, volley. Because they don't have any drop off, you can be like all the way back here, just spamming at the enemy direction. And you're not really at risk because you're Lucio. You can also be like, this is more and more advanced. Like, you can be like on the ground if you want to, if you are not comfortable wall riding, just very far back, dodging a little bit. Lucio is already very hard to hit, and the fact that you're dodging a little bit just makes you even harder to hit, and doing a little damage in the enemy's direction But you can be wall riding. Oh, fuck. I got stuck under the computer. Okay, that's not a good place to wall ride, but let's go to actually decent place to wall ride. Right? So if you're wall riding and you just wanna shoot the enemy, that's okay, and I fell off because I'm a moron. Okay, don't mind me. You can probably tell I don't play Lucio. But you can like wall ride and shoot the enemy, right? That's okay, and you are even harder to hit. So yeah, basically, just shoot at the enemy as much as you can. There is no reason for you to not be shooting at the enemy. Because you are hard to hit, you can do this from behind your team, so you're safe. You got no damage drop-off, and at higher ranks where you get better Lucio, you can add wall riding into it, so you can just, you know, wall ride and shoot, wall run and shoot, or not. And again, you can go behind the enemy and move them forward into your team. But yeah, let's get back to the review itself. Busan.
Now traveling to Busan. Ready for battle.
We're like a minute in. Oh, this is actually a very short one, huh? Too long, don't read. Shoot thy enemy. Shoot them. You don't have to be very exposed, and you don't have to hide behind cover all the time. Lucio is very difficult to kill. Like, Lucio has a tiny hitbox, he moves very fast, he's crouching a lot, so his head is hard to hit. So you can stay a little bit further away, and here you just die because you get too close, honestly. You can stay a little further away, you have a lot of movement, you can be like spamming the enemy from all the way back here, and if you need to get closer, just wall ride a little bit. You don't need to put yourself at risk, and you should be shooting at all times, basically. Here you get too close, you get broke, then you get killed. Wall right back, wall right back. It's okay. It's not perfect, but it's okay. And you may argue Lucio doesn't do enough damage to warrant shooting from long range, but he does. Every little damage you can do helps, especially when heroes have 200 HP and Lucio can do 80 to 160 damage per volley. It's a considerable amount of damage. Okay, so again, you go too far forward, don't be in the front line, you don't need to be this close. If you're gonna be this close, you should be like above the enemy team. So like, you go for a little wall ride, then you just hit the ceiling, and look, you're just here around. And you just never go away. Like, you try to do this, but you're still in front of the enemy, and this is not wall riding, this is just wall jumping. You should be like, wall riding back and forth, or taking the high ground. But you end up just being on the low ground a lot of the time. So, again, you are not a frontline hero, you should not be here. You should be like here, here, or if you want to go aggressive, you go past the enemy frontline and move them forward into your team. But you're not the frontline with Lucio. I bring this up because it's the second time. Should I send you a game where I feel I didn't play too well but still won, or a game where I felt I played quite well but still lost? I've seen a lot of games where you play really good and still lose, I'll be honest. I would like to see one of the other ones. How long is streaming for? About 4 more hours. But last little bit is just me doing 4 more hours? No, like 5 more hours. The last part is just me doing team reviews. So it's not as... I don't do reviews for people on those last little hours. But yeah, I will be streaming for 5 more hours. I just started actually. Like an hour ago. Anywho, yep, okay, you heal up, get the mini, there you just jumped over the mini. When do you do team reviews? Okay, hold on, let me just... There you go. I do team reviews starting at 4 EST. But I have reviews for today already, so if you want to have a review, get it in the queue, and I will probably do it like when I get to it, most likely on Sunday. Why are you on the front line? People usually recommend singing about, but you feel like playing well, but it's lost because it might help with finding mistakes you're not aware of. Yes, I agree with that for most people. Like games that were like really close, and games that you lost even though they were really close. But in your case, it's like we've looked at games where you literally carry your team and still lose, like that.
Piece of cake.
Double time. Oh, you hear that? Oh, yeah.
So I'd like to see one of the other ones where even if you win, you feel like you did nothing. Speed your team. There's no reason to be on healing. You should be speeding your team forward. Okay, that's okay. You don't have to beat. We won this fight. Okay, you say B. Okay, overall, you're doing okay. You're frontlining a lot more than you should, and you're not shooting as much as you should be. Other than that, though, you've got some idea of like what you want to do. At least with this team, you're like, I need to get my team close. I will go with my team and speed them forward. You were on healing for too long back there, but other than that, it's okay. Even this downtime is like, why were you just standing still on the point for like 5 seconds? You're Lucio. You can be coming all the way over here and shooting the enemy. You can contest that Lucio. You can come over here and shoot the enemy. Be an annoyance. Be the biggest annoyance to the enemy you can be. That's kind of Lucio's role. How is this Reinhardt getting on top of me? Well, Lucio. Why is there a Lucio in a backline? Well, Lucio. How did I get booped from the high ground into the Reinhardt? Well, Lucio. Why am I taking poke damage? Lucio, right? Lucio is like the biggest annoyance character. Isn't Lucio here where you can basically tap down your left click? Yes! That's what I'm saying. You should be shooting at all times. You are correct. Because the poke damage is actually pretty meaningful. He does okay damage. He's no DPS, but 80 to 160 damage is still actually pretty meaningful. You should top off your Ana though.
Oh, let's break it. Damn.
Why? Okay, maybe your run was low. Maybe your team was low, so you just thought I can beat this to try to win it, but I'm like, we just lost McCree. I'm not sure this is winnable. Maybe this. Maybe, you know what? Maybe we just get a good shot or something. You try to... I like this. You're peeling for your Ana. But what this Lucio is doing... Look at this Lucio. What this Lucio is doing is what you should be also doing. He's like... yeah, the enemy, blah, 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 blah. There's an enemy over here. What's this? There's an Ana right here. He goes for the Ana. He's like, I'm gonna kill this Ana. I'm annoying the backline. I'm being a very big pain in the ass in the backline. Is it the most value? No, he didn't even kill the Ana. But he's being very annoying. And now he's probably gonna kill the Ana. Oh, he killed the Roadhog instead. But you can see that Lucio can be a really big pain in the asshole. Let's say. He can be a very consistent pain in your backline, in your front line. You can shoot a lot and do damage at literally any range. Lucio's range is spamming my sniping shot. Exactly. Lucio, I was about to say this. Lucio's range is actually better than Widowmaker's. Because Widowmakers now have an 85 range and Lucio is just infinite. Yeah, just spam the enemy. There is no reason you should not be shooting. There is no reason you should not be going for the backline while the fight is already started. You are doing some parts right, like you are speeding your rank close to the enemy. You are trying to go a little aggressive at times. You are just like... You speed your team in and then you just walk as if you are the front. Don't do that. Speed your team in, then get behind them. Like wall right behind them. Go around behind them. Boop them forward into your team. Go annoy the Ana. Kill the Ana in the backline. Getting your team close is the first part of your job, right? Like getting rank close, getting McCree close, getting May and Rothel close. Those are good. Then once your team is already close, you can be like, okay, do I go back to help my Ana? Do I go forward to kill their Ana? Or in this case, like, I don't know, Mercy or whatever? Do I go to boop their Sigma into my Rhine because Sigma loses to Rhine pretty hard? You need to think about that kind of stuff, right? If their Doomfist is going at my Ana, I need to be there to boop the Doomfist away. It's like you've got some idea of my job to spin my team close, and then you just get lost. You don't know how to follow up, so you just walk to the enemy and die. Okay, well, you died, you punch. This is a very short of you. We may have time for another one. After Lexus, I mean. Oh, sorry, I went too far forward. Speed your team out, this is fine. So you get your team, and think about it this way. Now, does your team need to be close? No. Your team doesn't need, except maybe Rothok you could argue, but Rothok can even take an angle and play at range just for the hook. So now that your team doesn't need to be close, you can be the one that's being very annoying on their backline and booping them into the open for your Hanzo and your Torture to kill them. Booping them, like if they had a Reinhardt, you could boop the Reinhardt away from your team, boop the Doomfist, the Reaper away from your team, right? Now, even though you're playing, still playing Lucio, now that you don't have people that need to get close, you don't need to get your team close anymore. You can just go behind the enemy. Like, why are you here, right, is my point. Why are you just playing behind your Orisa? Feel the need to take my third shower today? I feel you. Summer here gets also really, really hot. And I have to take multiple showers a day sometimes. My advice is just turn on your AC at like maximum and enjoy it. Also, apparently I lost like a bunch of bitrate over there. But it's okay. So we come back to this. Why are you playing in the middle of your team, right? There is no reason for you to be playing in the middle of your team anymore. Your team does not need speeding around. You don't have an AC. Oh, F in the chat. Your team doesn't have to get close anymore. You can play by yourself. You can try to peel for your Ana. You can try to shoot at the enemy from far away. You can try to get behind the enemy and boop, I don't know, Diva or Sigma out in the open. So your Hanzo, this, maybe we get a hook. Like, why not shoot at the enemy? Why not peek a little bit to the right and shoot at the enemy? Lucio is very difficult to kill. He also looked for the sleeping Reaper and did nothing with it. You were clearly like, sleeping? Sleeping? Where? Sleeping where? Okay, no sleeping. And he killed your Hanzo. I cannot overstate this enough. You need to get more value before you get close. You need to start shooting the enemy from far away. Because, like, this is not what you want to do. Again, it just feels like you are lost. You're just like, okay, my team doesn't need me right now. Either I already got them close, or they don't need to get close. What do I do? The answer is, if you want to play Lucio, you don't do this. If your team is where they need to be, you don't need to go forward. You need to go either behind your team and shoot them, which is not a lot of value, or you can go behind the enemy team or above the enemy team and be like, okay, I'm gonna boop someone into the open. Boop Diva in front of your Rothok, so Rothok can hook the Diva, for example, right? Maybe they have an Ana. Maybe you want to go kill the Ana or the Sen or the Baptiste. You are very difficult to kill, and you are gonna force people to look back at you while you are killing their backline. Stop going as a frontline. You are not a frontline hero. You are not a tank, right? You're either a flanker, if you want to consider Lucio a flanker, or a dive hero, right? That's kind of it. Thanks for the reviews. My SR is still low, but I've improved. I like that. I'm glad you feel like I've helped you improve. That's really meaningful. And your play is really good, and you are still doing really good at scrims. It's just elo is actually a problem sometimes. Okay, so again, why are you here on the front line? Stop being on the front line. You're dying a lot because you're just going with or in front of your tanks. That's not what Lucio does. You are not a frontline hero. I cannot stop saying that. You should be shooting at all times. This is good. You're just helping break the shield. But you should be shooting at all times. Wall riding a little more often. But mostly wall riding as a means to either get behind or above the enemy so you can boop them or do damage or kill someone. That's very sweet. Scream trap going great. I'm glad to hear that. Good boop, kind of. He wasn't really going to kill anyone, but the idea of I don't want a Reaper close to me is solid. You should get out. Just get out. You are dying a lot, and the reason you are dying a lot is that you're getting really close to the enemy a lot, especially without your team. But something you should definitely do is practice on being a little bit further back. Speed your team where they need to be, or just if they don't have a team that needs to get close, just go by yourself, do damage to the enemy team from long range, or go kill the backline. But you need to get more value after you've sped the team closer, right? Okay, I'm using iron, which is unfortunate. But overall, it feels to me like you've got an idea of what you want to do up until your team is where they need to be. Once your team is where they need to be, either because you've sped them close or you just have a long range team, you are just like, what do I do now? Okay, I see enemy, I run at enemy. Stop doing that. Think about it. First thing first, shoot more often. Like Lexa said earlier, just left click as often as you can, all the time. Lucio is also very difficult to kill, so you can flank and boop someone closer to your team, out of the cover. You can go for their backline as well, like if they have an Ana or a Sen or a Baptiste, you can go try to kill them. Moira, Mercy, Brigitte are more difficult, but you can still technically go for them if you want. But yeah, you just need to get more value and think a little bit more about what are you gonna do that's not just run at the enemy. Alright, I'll take like a 3-minute break and I'll be back with Lexa.